You know, it's a very, very strange world that we are now living in. Everything you see is scripted, everything is based on reputation, image. Oh, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. Let me start from the beginning. So, yesterday I decided to go for a stroll around my new house. Just wanted to check out the area a bit. Suddenly, I see this guy. He's coming out of this university or some building. I didn't know what it was. Now, I haven't gone out in a while, and I haven't really spoke to random people. So I just decided to ask him randomly, "Hey bro, is this a university building?" As I said that, I saw this guy in live action have a mental breakdown. He was like, "What? Huh? Yeah. And then he just like walked back in. I think he was like getting some food or something. And for a second, I was like, what the hell is wrong with that guy? Is he like autistic or something? But then I realized that's literally everyone. It might be different depending on where you live, but pretty much the entire Western world is heading towards this way of living where everything is the same all the time and nobody is allowed to deviate from the norm. Nobody ever says anything outside of the ordinary. Think about it. You're on the bus, everybody says the exact same thing. You're in university, everybody says the exact same. Everyone acts the same. Like they just won't. I can't even describe it. Everyone's weird, but at the same time, everyone's like really cowardly and they can't be themselves or initiate conversations. And when somebody does, they are seen as a weird person. They're seen as some sort of a psychopath. So how do you even navigate like in a world like this? How are you supposed to get married if you don't have connections with the community? How are we supposed to make friends? Now, the real question is why we have to make friends in the first place. Because most people these days, they stick with the same friend group they've had for years and years and years since like high school. And if you are living like this, I'm telling you now, you are missing out on so much life. It's crazy. Every single time you meet a new person, that does something to you biologically, or it gives you life. Like it makes you gives you a reason to live, and it makes you thrive. Like some people will say, "Oh, I'm an introvert, so it doesn't matter. So it's actually different for me." Bro, we are all social creatures. In fact, humans are possibly the most social animals, like out of all the species in the world. A human being cannot survive in an island. Think about putting a human being into a random island for like a month or two. He's gonna go crazy really quickly. He's gonna start talking to himself. He's gonna start talking to like a ball or something, like in that movie. Right? So how are you living any differently right now? Because if you're not meeting any new people and you keep talking to the same people and they're all scripted, you know what they're gonna say every day. Like you know what your mom's gonna say, you know what your brother's gonna say, you know what your teachers are gonna say. It's kind of like the life just becomes pointless. And I believe this is single-handedly the main reason everyone's so depressed and anxious these days. Because everything is so easy, right? But we are missing like the most core component. There's no foundation. I live in Australia. When I go out, I see so many cool places. There's this like huge park. There's like a barbecue, and right next to it is a basketball court, and like there's like a football place. It's like this place is. I'm just looking at that and I'm thinking we could be having so much fun in here if everyone wasn't a little pussy. If you can remember in your childhood, you and your friends must have had a lot of fun. You go on, you play football, you like go to each other's houses, you climb trees and stuff. And that's not activities that are exclusive to children biologically. The reason we act like that as children is not because we are stupid. It's because we haven't been programmed yet, so we follow our natural instincts. It's play. And as we grow older, that play of like, you pretend that you pretend someone's a killer, someone's a shooter, you pretend to be hiding, that is supposed to transform into play with the world. You go and you start a business with your friends, you start like a social media agency, you and your friends like climb a mountain together, you work out together, martial arts. That's like a core component of being a human, especially a male. But honestly, I'm not trying to sit here and tell you that, there's something wrong with you because you're not interacting with people. Because, in all honesty, I am probably one of the most antisocial people I know. Like, I don't talk to anyone, bro. Like, it's weird. It's actually weird. Like, the only time I tried to talk to someone was that one guy. And he was like crazy. He had a mental breakdown. I wouldn't even be surprised if he called the cops or something. They're like, this guy harassed me. It was crazy. Honestly, this is not abnormal though. That guy is probably just an average Joe. If you do anything that's outside of this weird script people are running, then everybody looks at you like a freak. What's wrong with you, bro? When I was back in my home country in Uzbekistan, I experienced something very, very unusual. I experienced community. This was actually a time where me and my family didn't have a house just because it was getting renovated. So we were staying with our family, and it was like this small room that was designed really badly, some Soviet style little room, and there was like 4 or 5 of us living there, right? 4, 5 guys, like we're all cousins, we all know each other, and bro, like when you think about it, it doesn't sound that good. You're like, what, living with 5 guys? I mean, you might think I might be able to do that for a bit, but then it gets like really boring and crowded, right? But Loki, that was probably one of the best periods I've had in my entire life. And yet people will look at that and think, oh, poor guy, he doesn't even have his own room. Bro, I don't want my own room. Do you know how much how much fun we had in there? Like playing games or like watching movies, go outside, play soccer, grown ass men. Wallahi, bro. Our understanding of what makes us happy is so twisted. Like, think about this, right? Why don't people do these things anymore? Why don't men get together and play sports and, come up with cool ideas and stuff anymore in the West? It's because everybody is really obsessed with the grind. And this is where it gets a bit weird, because I personally, I'm a big advocate of grinding. I think you should, go really hard in whatever goal you're doing, and I support that completely. I don't think it's that unhealthy. But the question is, why are people grinding so hard these days? Are they grinding so hard so they can accomplish like this certain goal where they want to have like a huge, empire of like friends and family living together and like have their wives and everything like that? No. Think about it. Why is the average person, average American, average Australian waking up every day and working so hard? Let's have an imaginary person, average Abdul. He's working in construction. Wakes up at 5 a.m. every day, drives his car to construction, and works really hard. And he does this every single day for 5 days a week for 20, 30 years of his life. Why is he doing that? Because he could survive on like half of that salary. Like even with today's prices and cost of living. In Australia or USA, people can survive off like 500, 600 a week. You don't need anything too crazy. But people are really obsessed with trying to gain status. Think about the car that average Abdul is driving. He's driving a brand new Toyota Hilux. He's paying interest on it. He's paying like, $2,000 a month or something. His house, he's mortgaged it. He wanted to get a good house in a good suburb so that his friends and family can look at him and say, oh, you live in a nice place. Just for that little moment. He's going to grind this hard. And now he's He bought things that he can't even afford, and now he has to be a slave and work for it non-stop just so people look at him and think, oh, nice, he's got a Toyota Hilux and he lives in a nice neighborhood. But what they don't realize is this person just enslaved himself for the next 20 or 30 years. But just imagine one day average Abdul sort of decides to live a different life, right? He decides that, oh, I'm sick of all this. I just want to live like I used to back in my home country, back when I was young. And he quits his job. He's like, okay, I'm going to quit this job and I'm going to do something that I actually enjoy. And instead of that, he's like working as like an Uber driver at night. So he's not working that much. He works in his own time. He's making a decent amount of money. He can survive. But now he's sitting at home and he has nothing to do. Life is really boring. Like, he's sitting at home, like, he calls out one of his friends, he's working, he's trying to buy a new car. His other friend, Akibara, he's working, he's trying to buy a new car. Of course he gets bored. And even if he's married, he has family, his wife gets bored of him being in the house. Because nobody in the world has substance anymore. People don't have life in them. They don't have personalities. Everyone's just like Agent 1, Agent 2, Agent 3. It's weird. It's really weird. There's no life. Like, I can't even explain it, because if you went to Uzbekistan or like Russia or something with me, then you would understand what I'm talking about. And this is not me advocating that these countries are better, but this is the one aspect that they actually excel in. Am I saying that we should all stop working and enjoy our lives and stop playing around? Absolutely not, because that's not going to get you anywhere. The trick is to have fun with your friends and have a community, and at the same time, build something extremely valuable, get rich, build the dream life that you want to live deep down. Think about a mafia, like, if you watch the movie Godfather, for example, it's a bunch of people who have like a family and they're like really close with each other. They hang out, they play pool, they play cards. And at the same time, they're like extremely wealthy. It's like a family of like 10 guys. Like, they all live with this one house and they're extremely rich. Like, they have millions of dollars and they have so much free time. And when you think about these mafia guys, think about some Italian Godfather, like mafia guy, right? You can imagine he has a lot of substance to him. He's really fun to be around. You can hang out with him. You might go to a coffee shop with him and he'll tell you some really interesting stories, really interesting philosophies. Right? He may not be a good person, I don't know, but the point is he has life. And that's something everybody's missing in the modern world. So if you can construct a life where you and your friends, like, that are really loyal to each other, you guys can hang out and you can grind towards something together, that is a life worth living. Now you're on your way to having like a really strong masculine life in this dunya and the hereafter, because most likely you and your friends, if you're all dedicated Muslims, you're going to be more likely to pray and stay halal because all your other friends are doing it. And this is another thing. When you have friends, you sort of grind and you can't have a realistic expectation of where you should be in life. The friend that lives next to you, he may not be like a millionaire, but he goes to MMA every morning. So you watch that and you think, oh, I should start going to MMA as well. And now you make like a big step towards like becoming a better person, and you start enjoying your life more. Like, then this is amazing. Whereas right now, you don't have a good point of comparison. You look around on social media and you see people like Andrew Tate, like say like who else is there? I don't even go on social media much, but you know what I mean. You see all these people with like Lamborghinis and helicopters and stuff. So you see that, and that's what you're comparing yourself to, because you have no one else around you to compare to. And the thing with comparison, as corny as this sounds, is it kind of keeps you in the same wavelength of happiness. You can't really be happy if you're not feeling like you're living up to your standard. They actually did a very, very interesting research on this. Let me just take a sip of water. There's also a really interesting study. People who don't have a job are generally more depressed, and they're like anxious, and they're very dissatisfied with their lives. So people assume that they are like this because they can't afford to buy cool things, right? They're probably on government pay, they can only afford food. But it turns out that's not actually the case. Turns out people are unhappy because they're comparing themselves to others. They're like, oh, my friend's got a job and I don't. And they feel really bad about it. But people who live in really poor neighborhoods where nobody has a job, everyone drives like a really old 1999 Toyota Corolla or something. Even if they don't have a job, it doesn't change their level of happiness. They just don't care. They're like, well, all right, I'll just wake up and have fun. And this is actually a very, very interesting topic for me, because I can tell you one of my friends who experienced this exact thing. So I have this friend, this Australian brother, who lives in like a pretty poor neighborhood, and his family lives on like government welfare, but they have a decent house, and nobody in that house works. None of them work. They just don't care. And wallahi, this is one of the happiest families I know. Every single morning they wake up and they're like, hey, let's go play tennis. To play tennis, and like, oh, I'm gonna go see my grandma. He goes and sees his grandma. Oh, my cousin's coming over. His cousin comes. Like, they're just doing things, and they live close to a beach as well, so they all just hang out. And these people are like way happier than these other families I know who are on this like grind, who are just working really hard to achieve like, to buy a new Tesla and finish the down payment. I pay my interest. Think about how depressing of a life that is. You're slaving your way so you can have a roof over your head that's like slightly taller than the people around your area, and you have like a Tesla. That's depressing, bro. You're a slave to your objects. Like, your Tesla owns you. It owns your time. So you think you own the Tesla, but because you've got it on credit, it owns you. And even if you own things, like you just to maintain that lifestyle, you have to work extra hard. Now the question here that's lingering in all of our heads is like, what do we do now? Do we have to stay poor? Is that what you're saying, Boris? Have you lost your mind? All I'm saying is that we are all programmed. We are all following a script that these big organizations want us to follow and buy their products and pay interest to the Jews. That's all I'm saying. It's nothing radical. What you want to do is you want to have an end goal to what you're doing. Whatever you want to purchase right now, it shouldn't be an emotional thing, right? A lot of my friends work really hard because they think one day I'm going to afford this BMW, I'm going to be able to mortgage this really cool Mercedes, and everyone's going to respect me for that. That's the goal of 99% of people who are working. And that shouldn't be the end goal. The end goal should be freedom. You need to work really hard so you can create some momentum. You can create a business. You can create a system that pays itself off so that you don't have to keep doing that. Eventually, you just get to chill. And when I say chill, I don't mean you get to stop working, because that's going to make you depressed eventually. What I'm saying is you need to get to a point where you are doing the things that you enjoy and you're getting paid from that. You and your friends. So, for example, say you gain a ton of knowledge on a certain subject like chemistry, just on the top of my head. And you read every textbook on chemistry, you get an apprenticeship job wherever you're living, and you just get really good at chemistry. Your end goal shouldn't be to get a job as a chemist and start paying off your 3-story house. That shouldn't be your goal. Your goal should be that one day you start your own chemistry school, right? And you get to hire your friends, your cousins, and like people around you to work for you. And your best friends, everybody comes to one place and you work together and you have fun. So after work, you guys all hang out and you discuss ideas on how you can innovate your new school. You go to these meetings where you're trying to find sponsorships or whatnot. That is life, bro. That's fun. Do you understand the difference? You need to figure out what your end goal is, because if you don't figure it out, the society will tell you, they will give it to you on its own. They will make you think you want this Mercedes. They will make you think you want these like expensive clothes, when really that's not even going to make you happy. Material objects statistically don't make people happier. They just make them happier for a small moment, and all it does is it heals the trauma inside you. And this is another very, very important topic, because majority of people have trauma from their childhood, when people told them they can't achieve things. When they were told that, oh, you can't become this, you can't become that, because you're just not good enough, we're just not that type of people. And that kind of sticks inside you in your subconscious mind, as we've discussed before. And the only way to get rid of that lingering feeling is to buy something really cool. But the thing with insecurities is it doesn't, like, when you try to fulfill them, it just disappears right away. Think about like someone who's addicted to like sexual intercourse. The problem is they don't feel loved. They haven't felt loved in their childhood most of the time. And they want to feel validated. They want to feel like they can be loved. They want to feel like everyone likes them. And when they sleep around, like instantly the feeling keeps disappearing the next day. Like they wake up the next morning and they feel really, really bad. They feel really depressed, like they're not loved, and they have to go and find that boost again. Just keeps going on forever. So these marketing companies are selling you things that are going to give you this small emotional relief, because it's impulsive. Like your brain is saying, this is what I'm missing. I'm missing validation. Give it to me, give it to me, give it to me. But that's like building a house without a foundation. It's just going to keep falling down, and you're going to have to keep rebuilding it. Imagine you had to build a house, and every single time you built it, it just kept collapsing because you haven't built the foundation. You haven't built like what goes under the ground to hold the house up high. What makes more sense, right? Spending a bunch of time building the foundation and then building the house, or keep building the house and then you're like, oh, finally, now I have somewhere to sleep if it rains. You're in there and it collapses and you're like, oh no, I don't have a house. I need to rebuild it. I don't have time for the foundation. Just keep rebuild it, collapses. Does that make sense to you? Because that's exactly how most people are living emotionally. Whereas if you took the time and you healed your trauma, and you figured out why you feel the way you do, and you fulfilled it in your own way, you wouldn't need that thing anymore. And the irony is, you'll probably get more of that. As it is with money. You get more money when you don't chase it. If you want to learn how to overcome your trauma, I will be making videos on that topic very soon. I am already working on the script. So if you haven't followed me yet on the Spotify podcast, please do, and turn on the notification, because you're going to be missing out on so much content if you don't. And leave a comment down below. Tell me what I can improve on, or what you liked. Inshallah, we're going to grow this into a big community of people who aren't worried about satisfying the world and are just living their life for brotherhood.